artist in residence with Les Manning. So, I mean, when he was making this work, right? So what about that? That must have been an amazing experience.
It was my first year in Medicine Hat, and arrived to Mid-Delta on a warm summer August evening. And I remember walking into the Shaw Center and seeing his banner, this huge banner up hanging in his studio, and it said Les Manning, and of course knew his work, and he was probably the second person I had met, and I thought it was just such a priceless experience, because he was creating work that was so new to him. You know, he had this lineage.
This work right here.
A lineage of the works, of the sense of place works, and so to see this artist who, you know, was renowned, and to just be fearless in his approach. It was it was really amazing.
Because it's quite a jump when you think about it. I mean, even if you think of this palette, right? So the kind of palette of the geography where he lived to that, right?
Yeah.
And, pretty phenomenal.
For him to, you know, say, like, this is a major exhibition, and then to create an entire body of work that, using an approach, materials that, you know, he had never worked with before, it was really valuable. You know, I think every ceramic artist, we understand that there's so much complexity to the technical side of ceramics, and so you're constantly experiencing failure, and experience that firsthand with Seth. So everyone in the studio, you know, can open a kiln, and things don't work out, and he had experienced that, but then to be resilient, and to continue on, and to navigate those obstacles was a learning experience, and I really admired him for that.
Just to see that, you know, it's interesting. You mentioned failure in ceramics, right? Which we all know very, very well. But I mean, you know, there's a good example right here. So the work that Les was making was, you know, really reflective of the geology he was living in, the Rocky Mountains, and but technically he was starting to have some problems with this kind of cracking. That work was literally tearing itself apart. There was such tension inherent in the work, it would crack, and that really motivated him to move to this other direction here. And because of that, he discovered color, right, which is amazing, and not discovered, maybe rediscovered, because you do see that this kind of pink, right, has always been in his work for many, many years, and but using that color as a metaphor, right? I just love the idea that this is very literal. Like, it's you don't really need to be well trained in art to recognize this as a mountain landscape or some sort of kind of Nordic tableau or something. And whereas that work is just so rich in metaphor. His new work, which is just phenomenal, I think. So such deep thinking with that new body of work.
Well, I think even as ceramic artists, you know, you're trained initially. At least many that I know and myself are trained in the tradition of pottery, right? So you're learning how to throw on the wheel, and it's, you know, it's something that's kind of integral to your practice as you're learning the medium. And so the tradition of the vessel,
and
with
these
historically,
are pots, right?
and those are pots,
pots,
exactly. Yeah. So then to transition to making sculptures, even that conceptually is challenging for anyone to move away from that vessel to create works that are solely these sculptural forms, especially after a career of you know, making vessels, is really impressive.
Yeah, I remember being in the studio when Les was making this work, and you know, there were some funny moments for sure, right? So his delight in the color, I mean, he'd open these cans of glazes, and I think that's the other thing, he was using a lot of pre-prepared materials, which was kind of the antithesis to how he was trained. He was trained basically to mine that rock and crush it up and make that glaze, right? And you can see aspects of that in here with the kind of granite nodules, but you know, to make that leap to just kind of buy these pre-prepared ceramic pigments and use them, like, he would just have such joy. I mean, there'd be a whole day where he'd be walking around the studio talking about the beautiful orange or the pink or something like that. And, And then, there were those days at opening a kiln where it was very difficult, where things wouldn't work, but also those days when you'd open a kiln. Like, just imagine opening a kiln and you're putting something like that in there, and it's just this dusty, just terrible looking dusty object, and you open that kiln and it's literally radiating light.
Yeah.
This beautiful kind of pink pill form. So
that's the magic of ceramics, though, isn't it? Right? That
it is.
transformation.
Yeah.